everyone, Carolyn Russin here, professional life coach. Welcome aboard. For those of you who are new, welcome to our group. For those of you who are returning, welcome back. Anyway, hope you're having a great day. As we're entering the fall, and I've been kind of thinking about where I'm at, where as a group, where we're at, and just people in general thinking about how, okay, we only have 3 months left in 2024. And, a lot of people talk about, are they crushing their goals or are they on the struggle bus? And that's kind of what I've jumped onto for the past week, whether it's through my emails or wanting to do this Facebook Live talking about it. Hi, Laura and Jojo. And, we find ourselves at this point in the fall where it's kind of one of two things happens for a lot of people if you're struggling. And that is, if you're struggling, people sometimes just like, well, I just didn't get to it or whatever, and now things are going to get busy with the holidays, and they just kind of give up, throw their hands up in the air and think, well, whatever. And away they go and get caught up in other day-to-day things. Some people, it's overwhelming that I wanted to do all these things, or looking back, I'm in the same place I was this time last year. And what's going on? And it's easy just to get busy with the day-to-day and ignore it. But that's, when I'm talking to women who they've been dealing with stuff for years, and I'll say to them, like, how is it going to feel for you if you don't make any changes right now and you're in the exact same position a year from now, or 3 years from now, or heaven forbid, 5 years from now? How's that going to feel? Well, the look of terror in their eyes is pretty clear that people don't want to be, especially in their struggles, in the same place a year from now. But if we are not prepared to take actionable steps, for the most part, that's what happens. I was listening to another podcast and they talked about, are you somebody who's looking for more, knows that you deserve more, and you're willing to do something about it? Because there are those that are willing to do something about it, and there are those who sit and complain and don't move and don't take actionable steps. Are you the type that, are you just going to talk about it? Are you just going to dream about it? Maybe you're going to blame other people or other circumstances for why you are where you are. Or are you going to take complete ownership? Hi, Shannon, Jane, and Shelley. Are you going to take complete ownership for where you are in life, even if this is not your doing? Because that's we talk about life isn't about what happens to you, but it's how you react to it. And that's the difference I find when I meet with so many different women in life, in this group, outside this group, with clients and other people. That's the big difference between those people who can move from point A to point B, who are not happy, and then all of a sudden everything has changed for them. The difference is the people who are willing to take great action and are willing to take on responsibility. So it's not, again, about whose fault it is as to why you are where you are, but this is where you are for whatever reason. It could be totally external reasons, but this is why you are where you are. So those people who move are those people who are willing to take that responsibility and willing to take action. It's not, well, I'm going to wait till next year. I'm going to wait till January because you know what, I'll have more time then. Or people who talk about, I got to wait another year till I save up for money to invest in myself. People talk about, I'm going to wait till my kids, till they're gone, till they've moved out. Well, life is short. And for how long are you willing to put your own well-being and your happiness on hold? Because that's, as women, that's classic. That's what we do. But again, if you want to be one of those people that makes those changes and goes from point A to point B, it's no, now is my time. I'm not putting it off, because we all know life happens, and we don't know what our situation is going to be like a year from now. We don't know that. We know today. That's all that we know is today. So what are you going to do? So I want to talk about a few strategies, because you know me, that's what I like to give you, is to give you some free strategies and just to kind of get you moving, get you thinking. Hi, Karen. So I just took a few notes down, and I want you to really think about, to reflect on the past 9 months. So, okay, last January, if you thought of things that you wanted to accomplish, where are you with those things right now? 9 months in. Maybe you haven't started. Maybe you're partway through. And it's about reflecting on them and thinking, okay, I now have, if you're thinking within the year, I now have 3 months left, just under 3 months left. So maybe if I never started these things, or this one goal, or whatever it is, it's about kind of giving yourself perspective right now about, okay, so I have just under 3 months. Of that goal, what can I reasonably accomplish in the next 3 months? Because chances are you may not be able to get through the whole thing. And by saying, well, I did nothing for the first 9 months, so let's go, let's get this done, may not be reasonable and might be setting yourself up for a big failure. The other thing is, if the goal is really big, that can be overwhelming. Sometimes we have to chunk it down into smaller bite-sized pieces. Hi, Laura. So looking at, okay, the last 9 months, what have you done or not done? And then reasonably, what could you do in the next 3 months to move yourself from point A to point B? And it might just, the motion just starting. You may not get to point B, and that's okay, but just to get that movement going. And just looking at like what your current situation is, your resources, your priorities, how are you going to start that movement? Because that beginning step is huge. Then you've got to really prioritize. It's important because it's so easy as women. We will do everything else for everyone else before we look after ourselves. And so thinking, okay, I want to get to this goal, but I've got to do this. I got to go grocery shopping. I got to clean the house. I've got laundry. I got to pick up my kids. These things all have to get done, which means my thing, my goal gets shoved to the bottom. Well, we all know we are always going to be busy with stuff. There's always stuff to be done. So if we are putting what's important to us down at the bottom of our priority list until everything else is done, it's never going to get done. I can tell you that right now. It's just not going to get done. So you need to book time. And that's what I talk to my clients about, is booking time in your calendar for your stuff. So you preserve that time to get it done, and you have to protect that time, okay? So prioritizing ruthlessly just to make sure that you can look after yourself. Just breaking down some barriers, because again, that fear, that procrastination, what is it that stops you? What stops you in your tracks? Why has that goal not been achieved yet? Most cases, there's a reason. There's something that's stopping you. And it's looking at that and deciding, okay, well, is that really true? Like, maybe the fear is, deep down, I don't believe I can really do that. Well, is that really true? Maybe, as I just mentioned, maybe the goal is too broad and it's overwhelming and you don't even know where to start. So it's about chunking it down, taking little small pieces, which is the next step. I want to talk about implementing daily wins. So what are the little pieces of things in your goal that you can do that's a small step towards what you want to achieve? Because if you're just focused on that big picture, and that's where a lot of women get stuck, is that we're like, we want this. Great. Okay, how are you going to get there? Because if you don't know how to break it down and how to go in small steps, chances are it's going to continually be this big goal that you want that you never really get to. And then how does that feel? It doesn't feel good, because you're going to like, well, I failed at that. You know, I was just on a call with a client who we were talking about one strategy for her, and she's like, Carolyn, it was a homework piece. She said, I failed that. I said, what do you mean you failed that? Well, I didn't do it. I said, why is that a failure? It just didn't work out. Actually, it turned out she's doing it in another way that's just called something different. And I'm like, that is perfect. That is awesome. It's not a failure. But that's how she looked at it, because she didn't get to like that end goal of what she thought she had to do. She considered it a failure. And that's what we do a lot as women. If we're looking at something, we like, well, we want this big goal and we don't get there, well, we failed. And then when we don't feel good to start, and then we feel that we have failed, well, then our self-esteem and our confidence and our momentum and our motivation, all those things plummet. And then we're blah. And then it's tough to move forward when you're feeling all those emotions. So having those small daily wins, massive. Okay, so again, it's about breaking down what your goal is. Okay, what are some small things I can be doing every day to move me that 1% closer to where I want to be? The last thing I want to talk to you about is being accountable. So again, whether it's journaling this, writing down what you're doing, actually putting it on paper. There are some really cool apps out there. I can't remember, there's one that I actually had opened up and I checked out, but you can set it up for anything that you want, and you can track what you're doing. So if that's, speaks to you, that might be something you want to talk or look into. Another thing is just having someone else. Like, I find for me, if I have a goal and it kind of scares me and I'm like, okay, do I want to do this? And if I just keep it up here, it doesn't go anywhere. If I share with somebody, whether that's my husband, whether it's a friend or anyone like that, oh yeah, I'm thinking about doing this. All of a sudden I've put it out there. And now I feel like, okay, I have to be accountable now, because they know this is what I'm working on. So I don't want to be, I didn't really do that, or I didn't really get around to it. So having that accountability person for some people is really helpful. So it just depends on your learning style and just what speaks to you. But having some kind of system in place to hold you accountable, so that 3 months from now, you're not like, I never really did anything. Another way of being accountable is working with a coach. And that's something that I can help you through, and look at the roadblocks that you're experiencing. And whether it's a logistical thing about your goal, and there's different ways of going around it, kind of like what I just did with that client of mine, or whether it's more of a mental goal of, I'm having these fears or these different feelings, and we can attack those and deal with those to help you move forward in a better way. So there's lots of different ways of getting around this. Hi, Rachel. But really, just kind of recapping, looking at just having reflection over, okay, so what's happened over the last 9 months? What have I accomplished? What haven't I accomplished? What can I reasonably do over the next 3 months? If I'm not happy about something, what can I do over the next 3 months? That's a reasonable amount, considering your time, your priorities, your resources, etc. And then just prioritizing that, protecting it in your schedule. If we don't do that, it never gets done. And trust me, I have spoken to many women who, over years, it's like, I want to do this. Yeah, it's time to prioritize myself. Yes, Carolyn. Yes, I've got to do this. And nothing happens. And years go by, and it's the same story. It's the same situation, because they haven't prioritized themselves. So is that going to be you? Or are you going to move forward? Breaking down those barriers. So what is it that's stopping you? Is it fears? Is it procrastination? What is it? And looking at, okay, where is that coming from? And again, that's something that a coach might be really helpful for you with that. If you're finding that's a big stumbling block for you. Looking at the daily wins. So breaking it down. So instead of having that great big overwhelming goal, chunking it down into small bite-sized pieces. And so that every day you have something to move forward. You know, that 1% forward would be a big, big deal to move you. And being accountable. So whether this is your journaling this, whether, as I said, there's different apps out there you can use, whether it's you're telling a friend, a spouse, family member, whatever, I really want to do this. This is what I'm going to do. And talk to them about it frequently. And it keeps you engaged and excited and motivated. So where are you going to be come the end of 2024? Are you going to be that person who decides, you know what, this is where I'm at right now, and that's okay, but I want movement. I want movement between today and the end of this year. Or are you going to sit back and just let time tick away and be in the same place 3 months from now? It's up to you, isn't it? Are you going to be the person that takes charge and decides to move forward? Are you going to just dream about it? Are you going to just talk about it? Are you going to blame other people because of the situation you're in? Other circumstances? Or are you going to say, you know what? Not another year is going to go by, not another month, not another week, not another day. This is my time. This is my time to finally prioritize myself. Give me a thumbs up if you're thinking, yeah, Carolyn, oh, that's impressive. I didn't even know that was going to happen. That was really appropriate. If it's your time that you're going to step up and say, yeah, it's time for me. Anyway, if you're looking for one-on-one support, if you're thinking, okay, I want this, but I'm really not sure how, I've tried this before, and I don't want to spin my wheels anymore, just type me below. We can set up a free one-on-one call. We can talk about what that would look like for you. And there's no pressure there. If you're watching this on the replay, type replay. Anyway, thank you for joining me. And next week, we're going to take a break. It's Canadian Thanksgiving next week for those of you in the States. I know yours isn't until next month, but we're going to take a break and I will see you in 2 weeks. So take care.